guys, I'll be back here. I'll be dancing. I love that song. It's so smooth and hypnotic. I got to tell you, that song is like the men that I have for you today. They are smooth and hypnotic, and they just so happen to be kings. I am bringing you some wonderful, fabulous, awesome men. Hello, gentlemen. How y'all doing?
Just
Hello,
fine.
hello, hello,
Hello.
coach.
Oh my goodness. Wait a minute. Everybody, did y'all hear all that bass?
Ah,
Go get it.
Go
Yes,
get it.
go get it. Go get it. Okay, so we're going to do some introductions. When you see your face in the place, go ahead and introduce yourself. Here we go.
Boom. So, hello. First, my name is Chip Baker. Chip Baker, the Success Chronicles. Just want to say thanks so much to Coach Love for having us on. Been looking forward to this. Love everything she does. Get that? Love
Yes.
everything she does. And it's going to be a great time this evening.
Excellent. Excellent.
Coach Love, it is a pleasure. My name's DP, Derek Pearson. Coach DP to some, Brother Love Prince to other. I want to thank my sister in love, Erica, for having us on this little podcast so we can share some of what we do and have some love-filled conversation.
Excellent. Mr. Too Tall Jamal.
Good evening, Jamal, Mr. Me Too, Sylvester. Thank you. I have to express the same sentiments as my brothers have shared. We thank you for allowing us to utilize your platform and hang out with you and your guests tonight. And hopefully, we can give them what you expected us to give them tonight.
I think it's going to happen and much, much more. Here we go. Here we go.
Coach Love and my fellow brothers, thank y'all so much. Coach Love, what a pleasure and opportunity to be a part of this platform today. I just thank you so much. I'm coming to you live from North Carolina. I am Anthony McCauley, CEO and founder of Males of Distinction, Ladies of Merit Youth Organization, and one of the authors in The Impact of Influence. Looking forward to what's getting ready to happen in the next few minutes. So thank you so much, Coach Love.
All right. So, I called you guys, I gathered this powerful group of men because I see kingdomship within you. That is why you are here. It is true that you guys are awesome dads. It is true that you guys are amazing authors. It is true that you serve your community. All of that is true. But it is because of your character that you are here. Okay? So that is why I invited you in because this show is about kingdomship. Okay? So I am going to ask you, I'm going to ask DP about um, Anthony. DP, can you tell me what is it in Anthony that you see in him that makes him feel like a king? Why do you see a king when you see him?
Uh, Regal is the appropriate word. It is that bloodline, that divineness that no matter what goes on around him, a king has the ability to stand by, take friction, accept redirection, and then say, "This is where we're going." See, we didn't tell you where I'm going. Anthony will tell you where we're going and how we're going to
Oh, very nice.
see. And that kind of leadership only comes with regal leadership from a king.
Wow. All right. Anthony, go ahead and give me something on Mr. Me Too.
Wow. Courageous. A
All
king
right.
has to be courageous in many ways. I know I see uh, Too Tall Jamal and what he's been through and the battles and the armor that was put on him as
Yeah.
courageous. A soldier who had a helmet of salvation and a breastplate of righteousness on him. So
Okay.
courageous is what I see when I see Mr. Jamal Me Too Sylvester. Okay, I see. Just the word courageous just stands out to me. That's what makes him a king.
Okay. Okay. Um, Jamal, give me something on Chip. Uh-oh, he's on mute. You got to come off mute, my brother.
You said something. That's
Mm-hmm.
kind of hard to just pick something when you talk about Chip Baker
Oh man,
because there's so much that comes with this brother. A lot of the words that have been used already, but I can say for my relationship with my brother, he has been influential. Uh, and while that's a part of the title of our book, in so many ways, like he embodies that word influence.
Okay.
Everything that he does is not about Chip. It's about others, and the things that he does is to influence people to go get it. He says, "Success or nothing comes to you. You have to go get it." And the only way that you can help a lot of the people that most of us serve is you have to be influential and you have to make them see in themselves what they don't see. And that's what Chip Baker does.
Mm, that's beautiful. Chip.
Mm, thank you,
Chip.
brother.
Wow. Wow. Okay then. That is beautiful. I think that did we get everybody? Did I miss anybody? We got everybody. It's just a plethora of wealth here. So if you guys can see all of that in yourselves, I'm all about the spirit. I want to know what women in the Bible you have pulled from in order to pull this greatness from yourself. And the reason why I ask that question is because us women, we are asked to find ourselves in David and Elijah. And I do find myself in those stories, but I believe a good man, a king, can look within women and find and celebrate their power as well. So I am going to ask you guys who wants to volunteer first. Tell me what woman in the Bible you identify with, and then why.
Well, I mean, I'll jump on that a little bit, and I'm gonna kind of deter a little bit as well, if you don't mind, Coach. But
Okay.
you'll see why. Um, I think the woman in the Bible that I want to go with is my mama,
Okay.
right? And so, not was she a woman actually in the Bible with the name, but
Okay.
she was a woman that was in the Bible by the
Okay.
action and the way she carried herself and the way she influenced those around her. And so, um, for me, when you say influential, impactful, uh, woman of God, that's the
Yeah.
first person that I think of. And so that's why I give that. And from that, I've learned so much on
Mm-hmm.
how to be uh, a great person from that woman of the Bible.
That is beautiful. That is
Yeah.
beautiful. DP, I know
That's
you got something to say on this matter.
well, I being the son of a queen, my mother's actual name was Queen Elizabeth.
Oh wow.
Um, and the lesson that was taught to me is treat every woman as though she was married.
Mm-hmm.
See, there is no kingdom without Mary. There is no direction without Mary. There is no bravery without Mary. And in truth, there's no faith without Mary. See, Mary had to
Okay.
accept some things that weren't made clear, and
Okay.
she trusted and believed. So Mary would be my mother, your mother. She would be you.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And look, I need to spin
Okay.
off of that because look, my mother's name is Mary. Okay,
Okay.
Mm,
and all of that you just said, DP. But the one person that I always read about, and it relates to me a whole lot, is Rahab. Here we got this. this Canaanite woman living in Jericho, and her loyalty
Okay.
of saving the spies and her family, and that
Mm-hmm.
loyalty that she had, and and when Joshua sent the spies out and everything, and here's Rahab, they called her. She was a prostitute,
Okay.
but she was a very loyal woman, and that was so powerful to me to read the story about Rahab.
Okay. I love that. Thank you so much. That's beautiful. All right, Jamal, what do you have for us?
For me, it's Mary Magdalene,
Okay.
uh, and because of her, uh, even though we all know who she was and what she did, uh, her ability to recognize who Jesus was, and even in her sin or in her mess, she knew to bow to his feet, and she wiped his feet when others,
Mm-hmm.
were around. Like to understand, I think that's we miss uh, women, or we miss our women. We don't understand who they are. We don't always understand certain people when they're in their presence. So I'm glad that you are asking these questions, because it gives us an opportunity to acknowledge them and honor them. And I think for me, it was her and her ability to recognize who Jesus was, because it allowed Jesus to support her, to lift her up when everybody was, man, woo, 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 and talking bad about her.
Mm-hmm.
Big brother, all he did was write in the sand, and he like, man, I'm not even finna get ready to get into this shucking and jiving with y'all. Let him who hasn't sinned cast the first stone. And when he looked up, everybody was gone. Shut your mouth.
Wow.
You don't know. You don't know nobody's struggle. And so
Come
I
on,
think
man.
it's her for me.
I love that. I love that. And so, if you guys are wondering who's trying to get in, his name is George. He is from Kenya. Uh-oh, he's coming back. He has added a lot to his community,
Mm.
um, and I thought he would be an excellent gentleman to have on, since he has taken children out of the community and then risen them or helped them rise to a national level. But and what George, what time is it where you are, dear? Is it 4?
It's actually 4:30 4:30
Uh-huh.
a.m.
Okay,
Awesome.
okay. So awesome. Look, welcome. I'm so glad that you got an opportunity to log in. Can you just quickly tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll move on with the rest of the questions. Also, I want you to know you have a huge light right behind you, and I do not think that is your intention, because it's shading your face.
Okay. There's a huge light. That is right. I mean, it is still a bit early, so the light. This is not the natural light.
I know.
Anyway, I'm George. I'm a career coach based here in Nairobi, Kenya. My greatest pleasure is also to participate. What I've actually been doing here is supporting the young people. I have seen a lot of young people from the early years in K-12 graduate from being average academic people to becoming academic giants. I have
Mm-hmm.
likewise seen myself work very comprehensively within the community development sphere, especially working around male fraternity, that is the boy child. My greatest assignment is always, working towards balancing the fact that men need to live together with women, and I work a lot using humor to just balance the equation of equality, where we complement each other. So I utilize my pastoral skill and platform to actually create a lot of sense in terms of people living together and complementing one another in society. I've
Mm-hmm.
since then also moved ahead to actually work towards making this a global discourse, where these young people and even adults are able to converge together to bring change within the continent of Africa. Currently, I am raising a platform within the 55 African countries towards those key areas within the coaching sphere of career coaching, but specifically in agribusiness and biz tech, which is taking shape exceptionally well. So as I talk with you, of course, I'm so grateful that I was able to come much earlier to the office by 4 in the morning. So tuning in. And thank you, my brothers and my sister, really enjoying this space.
That is just beautiful. I appreciate you very, 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 very much. And so I am aware that all of you gentlemen are intentional about hearing the voice of God and obeying the voice of God. But that's just not how we roll all the time. I am curious. When was the last time that you ignored that urging from the voice of God, and then how did it turn out? I'm gonna go with DP.
Hmm.
um, it was constant in telling me to be active in care of myself and in my physical care, the
Mm-hmm.
motion. And there are times where you become still to focus, but it's not actually good for your heart. It's not good for you. And in not taking care of me, uh, God said, okay, I've asked you to take care of you. Now I'm going to force you to take care of you.
Mm.
And I'm going to shut you down. And I'm going to make you still so you'll hear me. And I'll shut down everything else around you so that you can redirect. So going forward, that message that I need to take care of me so that I can be around to take care of others. I have to take care of me first. He loves me. She loves me. I have to love myself. The universe tells me to do that. And so I didn't listen. I'm listening now.
Okay. Okay. So did you have a did you have a health scare?
Yeah, I had spinal fusion surgery, like Brother Anthony, and we've been through that one. In the surgery, they punctured me. Uh, actually, woke up to 27 blood clots in my body, 4 in my heart, 3 in my lungs, and a saddle embolism.
Mm.
A saddle embolism, which is called a widowmaker. Its sole purpose is to
Wow.
take you from here. And I would often have this. I would say this thing that I've lived a wonderful life. I've lived a full life, and if God took me tomorrow, I'd be okay with it. But on that day,
Mm-hmm.
I the conversation changed,
Okay.
and the words from my mouth were, "Well, I know what I said, but if you don't mind, I'll ask for one more day." And every
Oh
day
wow.
since that day, I have asked for one more day, all
Mm-hmm.
with paying attention, all with the sole purpose of going forward and taking care of me and taking care of others.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. I'm glad that you know, you're still here and that we still get to glean, from your knowledge. Um, this next question is going to go to Jamal. I want to know, and really all of you guys, I want you to kind of think about it because I'm going to bounce around and I want you to give your feedback. Because what I noticed in men is that depression, sadness comes out as anger. And a lot of men are struggling with that. I want to give you a quick story. Um, my mother's in the hospital, so I spent a lot of time there, and I witnessed this couple. I witnessed them fighting. Okay. I believe that this man loves his son. I believe that they're a family unit, but I watched him in anger throw his son and the woman, the mother, out of the car. I'm sure he will regret that. Okay. But it was just anger and depression. Initially, they were just yelling um, at, at one another, and it was just full of pain. And the the force that he threw the son out of the car could have really hurt him. I know that wasn't his real intention. But I want to talk about how depression and sadness comes out as anger, and I want us to kind of break down a little bit how you have dealt with that and how what advice you might have for someone. So Jamal, help us out with that.
Oof, that's for a big portion of my teenage and young adult life, I live in both of those spaces,
Mm-hmm.
depressed, then sad because of the depression or because of, we all have an expectation or a dream of
Mm-hmm.
how we see our lives or how we want our lives. And as those dreams begin to crumble right before your eyes,
Mm-hmm.
depression can sit in because you're looking at, I know what I grew up in, I know what I come from. That's depressing. That's sad. And while all my life I said I was going to work my butt off to not live that way, to not have that type of a life,
Mm-hmm.
to now slowly but surely that becoming my life and becoming my reality, it becomes that sadness begins to come in, and then you become angry.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's at others, but oftentimes it's an anger that you inflict on yourself. I
Mm-hmm.
became angry at me because while I can blame it on mama now, we get to a certain age and you can't blame it on mama and them no more.
Right.
It's on you, and it's the decisions and the choices that you make. And so it forces you, if you're real, it forces you to do some self-reflection, and you have to take a deeper dive inside yourself and be honest with yourself and say, hey, I stepped in it. I messed up. I made a wrong turn. I said something wrong. I did something wrong. And for us and I'll just say this, as Black men, that's oftentimes hard for us to do because, as Brother Anthony said, he talked about all of these different armor and helmet and breast assault and just all of these things that we build on ourselves as we build ourselves up as men to protect ourselves. All of those things are used for protection to keep people from hurting you. And so
Right.
we build ourselves up into these strong, supposedly indestructible men. And then now here I am admitting that I'm weak. And in a society that takes full advantage of that, and will chew you up and spit you out when you show that, if you're not confident in who you are. And so that's where the anger comes in at. And so while I'm in this weak place, I have to stir this anger up so that I can show myself to be a man,
Wow.
so-called man. And so
So
we
the
get ourselves in trouble when we do things like what you said you saw. We do things and it's not our intent, but when you don't have control of your emotions, they get the best of you, and then you do things like those are things that you can't undo.
So when you were speaking, I definitely heard the scripture that my strength is made perfect uh, in my weakness. You know, God's strength is made perfect in my weakness. And so I'm hearing that. At the same time, I'm wondering, how can we pull that vulnerability out and train ourselves, particularly men, train them to be vulnerable so that they don't act out, you know, because to me, that's where all of this violence is coming from, you know. That's where it's all coming from, this false sense of masculinity and what that really is. Chip, give me something.
I think the word that comes up for me is trust.
Mm,
As Jamal was talking, there's a lot of things that you have to do to be able to trust. And I think first off is you have to put yourself in environments where you can trust the people around you,
mm-hmm.
right? And I think when you're in those situations, it allows you the ability to be comfortable and then be able to look at yourself and look at the man in the mirror and trust that you're doing the right things, making the right decisions, taking the right actions for those around you that you love and care for. And
Mm-hmm.
so, in that trust environment, You have to make sure that you find time to get that noise cancellation, if you will, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference between, these headphones and the big ones that you put on your ear. It's a different sound in those two, right? The big ones you put on your ear, I hear nothing else outside, so it allows me to hear every detail. And that's how it is in life. We have to have systems by which we have that noise cancellation in the environments that we're in. And just lots of things came up when you talk about depression and sadness. Something that we all have to grow through. But I
Mm-hmm.
think that when we can, put ourselves in situations where we can trust those around us, uh,
Right.
you know, because if we're in tough situations, that brings about those triggers.
So you know what? Let's talk about that. Let's
Yeah.
talk about trusting the people around us. Um, we often, we meaning me and other people I know, we
Hmm.
seem surprised when our family or our friends, the people we grew up with, um, are not equipped to handle our emotions to help make us successful. And I often go back to the fact that happened to Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, it happened to Jesus. So we have to believe that is going to happen to us. The people in the family that we are born into um, may not be the people who are intended to nurture us. Um, if somebody can pick up on a biblical story and share it with us, because there are several, but if someone can pick up on one and kind of relate that, I would love it. I think Anthony should do that.
Well, I'm gonna go. I'm just. Oh man, this is. I'm still stuck on our last question and everything about
That's deep.
yeah, and I think about the classes I teach, domestic violence class. I tell the guys the outside, the inside has to match the outside. The house can
Okay.
look the house looks so pretty on the outside. Landscape, the house is pressure washed, the driveway is clean, the cars are
Mm-hmm.
beautiful, but when you go inside, it's a mess. When you clean up on the inside, all those things can seem to come back together and work together. So I talk about getting your house in order and building a house, but I think about, and this is one of your questions I seen on it, a man after God's own heart, David,
Yeah.
you know, and he had absolute faith in God,
Yeah.
and nowhere in scripture is a point illustrated. And I was reading in 1 Samuel 17 where David, this young shepherd boy, and he slew a Philistine, Goliath, and David, another reason why David was a man after God's own heart is because he absolutely loved God's law.
Okay.
So you said relate the story of that, and um, he was truly, David was a young man that was truly thankful and washed his hands of innocence, you know, and and said in his words that go to the altar, O Lord, proclaim it aloud, he said, you know, and your praise and telling of all your wonderful deeds. And I just think, I don't know, David's just one of those ones. I know I read that in some of the questions. I thought thinking about that. One of my favorite ones was David, a man after God's own heart, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
he had a deep desire to follow God's will and do everything God wanted him to do, you know. And I don't know, I just look at some of the characteristics of David, you know.
I
Anthony,
think that, so if we're going to move on to David, the reason why I asked that question is because a big thing in becoming a king, to be a king, you have to know your identity, you
Yes.
know, um, and you can define your identity based off of your neighborhood. You can define it off of your last name. But in my book, if you are not defining yourself off of the characteristics of God and how you relate to the Creator, you're always going to find yourself confused and disappointed. Um, George, I am curious, since you have risen up so many young men, and helped them create identity. I'm wondering how you relate to that particular idea.
Well, identity, or do I say identity crisis, is actually the challenge here.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you try to be many things, you miss out the mark and even the map of becoming the ultimate person that you're meant to be. But
Mm-hmm.
even looking at this, the first identity begins by looking at the identity in Christ, because we are, created. We are created in the image of God, and so we are
Mm-hmm.
representatives of God on earth. And so the best thing that we can do to exhibit that is to teach young people and even to teach everyone in society the fact that we need to first and foremost remember to avoid unnecessary competition, but then most importantly also define how we ourselves then are able to realize our core mandate through support system. In other words, we look at it in terms of asking. When the Bible categorically emphasizes the element or the premise of love, the things that you want people to do to you, none of us would want people to harm us. Likewise, when we reach out with the attitude of also, creating a healthy relationship, encouraging them to be the best that they can, then we become such kind of people that exude joy, you breathe life. And when you exhibit that in society, there is this word about likability. People begin liking you, not because you are the best, but because you are adding value. And so when young people, particularly men, begin realizing their spaces, then you don't have to compete negatively with the opposite gender like women. I know particularly in the African context, I see a lot of my colleagues here from the predominantly African American background. And even back here in Africa, when people are growing up, you are taught to be a strong man. And the strong man means that you lead. And so when you are leading, you want to lead sometimes through some kind of oppressive element to prove your manhood. But so what we are teaching people here is to appreciate one another in society, teaching men or even young men that when you go out there, look at that young lady, look at that lady as your sister, as your mother. What would you want your mother to be? What would you want your sister to be? We are very protective of our kin. And we in Africa, and I guess probably it could be global, if you see somebody mess up with your sister, you would do whatever it takes, or with your mother, you do whatever it takes to safeguard them. And so that kind of thinking, I see creating a lot of change in terms of accommodating one another, looking at one another as people who complement you rather than competitors.
So I love that you brought out the idea of unhealthy competitiveness, because that is the foundation of the very first murder. That is why Cain killed Abel. You know, um,
Mm-hmm.
that is why Joseph's brothers threw him in the pit. Okay, that is the whole problem. And so upon that, I'm going to ask this idea of respect. You know, because with men, you guys thrive off of respect. Period. That is the end. That is the end of the story. And so, how do you bring about civility, healthy competition, and respect all at the same time? And for this, I'm going to go to Coach DP, because he has to know how to do this because he's a coach.
We can stay basic in it, right? That in everything we do what you would want done, what you would have them do to you.
Oh
Mhm,
This
man.
sums up the law. Like, this is simple, and
mhm,
when we work from that simple understanding that as coaches, mentors, men in the community, men in a home, that I have to consider you. I
mhm,
have to be present enough to consider you as you are and what you need from me. See, most of my engagements as a grown man is that I don't need, it's my job to serve. So
mm,
in order to serve, I've got to consider you as you are and why you came to me, why you were put in front of me. And I don't care if it's a little kid, a grown woman, another man. When my brothers reach out to me, one, I'm flattered and humbled that they reached out to me, that they chose me. But then I
Okay.
have to then serve. And then I
Mm-hmm.
need to provide for them what I would want if I were in that situation. Do what we can, as we should, for who we can do those things for, as long as we remember the base reason why we were put in front of each other. We were put in front of each other to serve. So that simplifies it for me.
So how does that relate to winning? Because I have to tell you, um, America and just in general, the world is kind of dog eat dog.
No, no. See,
No, I'm just saying what's showing up in reality. I'm not saying that that's the way we should operate.
well,
I'm
we're
telling
kings.
you what
We're
I
kings and
see.
queens here. We're kings and queens here.
Mm-hmm.
We are standard setters and redirectors. We're the GPS for all of this. See, I
Mm-hmm.
can't work. I can't go look. Even when I go down in the valley and I'm hanging with folks that don't have that bloodline, I still have to remember what the ultimate goal and good for all of us is. It can't just be good
Mm-hmm.
for me. Like when somebody comes to me, my service is simple and it's all the time. Like what happens around me, I don't control. I don't control anybody on this panel. I don't control anybody in the world. I control me. That's
I
all I
got it.
have. That's all I have. And when we're done, see, whatever Coach Erica needed for me,
Uh-huh.
that's the joy for me. That's the gift for me. That's the blessing. That's the victory. That's when they talk about winning. Winning isn't conquering and devouring. Winning is elevating, lifting,
You know,
redirecting. That's all of that positive movement. Remember my favorite two words: when in doubt, go forward and up.
there you go.
Yeah.
So, Anthony, you know, everybody's very concerned about their career. And I want a little bit of this from you too, Chip, because everybody's concerned with success. Here we are, we're hanging out on LinkedIn and a bunch of other platforms, but I'm going to mention LinkedIn because there's a bunch of professionals on there and they're working in this corporate America. You're working in corporate America. How do you exist in the mindset where that DP described and in this corporate um, environment because it's very difficult you know the power struggle is real, and so I'm just trying to break it down for our audience how they can really live successfully within this mindset.
What good is it going to do you to gain this whole world and lose your soul?
Mm-hmm.
To
Mm.
me, I keep it simple. I get some of the things that come at me during this whole what you just said with the profession. I'm very professional. The
Mm-hmm.
accolades of degrees and doc. I got enough certificates right now to become a doctor. In Africa, they
Okay.
call me Doctor Anthony. Okay, they
Okay.
said we don't care about that, but professionally here locally, they will come at me and say, "Well, Mr. McCauley, you don't have this behind you." Okay, well, you don't have this behind you. Well, the
Mm-hmm.
knowledge base of what's going on professionally, I know how to carry myself professionally. I have book smarts and street smarts. So I'm not naive to anything when it comes to being professional, or being on the streets, those type of things. But it's a blessing, really, because I'm able to talk to Joe CEO, or I can go down in the hood and talk to Ray and them. You know,
Not them.
yeah,
Yeah.
not them,
Ray
You ain't
them.
Ray's
lying
them.
either.
I can go talk to Ray and them. Or I can go
Mhm.
and sit with Joe CEO and them in the boardroom meeting, and get some things accomplished. But the whole thing, the success piece is knowing who you are, having confidence within yourself, and going through and growing through.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's
Mhm.
I'm big on that because a lot of people, I don't know, I've got my little 2-year associate along with some others, career continuing education things, and really close to a bachelor of psychology at 55 years old, which I will get. It's
All
never
right.
too late, and obtain some things. But life happened a long time ago, and and and
Mhm.
and I heard audibly from the Spirit of God, do not turn left. I made a left turn for 30 years dealing with addictive
Mm.
behaviors. I'm back now. You know why? Because I turned right and I came
Okay.
back. So yeah, very successful.
I love it. Mr. Success Chronicles, you interview people on this subject matter over and over again.
Yes.
Help us break that down, because there is this spirit of competition that is readily available within corporate America. And I'm specifically talking about the one that says, in order for me to win, you have to lose, because there is only one winner,
Mm.
you know.
Well, I think for me, uh, there's two components that I think of when I hear you say that. I think the first is I don't view it like that, and the way I view it is the only competition is me,
Okay.
right? And what I
Right.
mean by that is, like, if I get concerned about what he's doing or what she's doing or what that group is doing or how they're doing this. So in that whole stuff, I've looked around, but I ain't looked at Chip yet, right?
Okay.
And so what I got to do is focus in on Chip and be the best version of myself that I can be. And when I focus all my efforts and energies into that and don't
Mm-hmm.
waste my time with all that other stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then that allows me to be the best version of myself. And
Mm-hmm.
then from that process, just like Anthony said, you got to grow through what you go through, right? When I grow through all of those things of myself and I
Mm-hmm.
learn myself, right? People see that, right? They see that process. They see how
Mm-hmm.
you continue to grow. They see how you continue to develop. They see how you love people along the way, right? And then opportunities, which is the second point, opportunities bring opportunities.
I love that. I love that. You know what? So I think you're really hitting on what I'm looking for. And it's the whole idea of our own personal brand. You
Yeah.
know, if you are so busy trying to be somebody else, who's going to show up and be you?
Just be you.
You know, you
Just do you.
that's right. You got to show up and be you, because I'm telling you, I make a horrible Chip Baker, but I'm the best coach love you ever seen in your life.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Like,
That is the way it is. I really could tease this out just a little bit more, but for the sake of time, I'm going to move on to a few more questions,
mhm.
because I have a lot of ladies who watch my show, and they really want, this is one of the questions that got pounded down, and they wanted to know it from Kings. And it is women raising young boys. They want to know what it is that they can do to raise a man, raise their boy into a man. What we don't want is 40-year-old boys when they're our sons. But there's a lot of that going around. There's a lot of 50-year-old boys, full-fledged babies, you know, and women are trying so hard not to repeat the mistakes of the past. Women, they take it upon themselves. What did I do wrong? So give us, as a matter of fact, I'm going to ask each one of you gentlemen for some very specific advice on this subject matter. So when you see yourself in the light, it is your turn. All this, but I'm going to start with Mr. Too Tall Jamal, because it's been a minute since I heard your voice. Please give the ladies some advice on how to raise a grown man.
Man, yeah, this is a loaded one. But one thing that I realize, in a lot of guys, we have conversations at the barbershop and we talk about our young men. And right now they're overmothered.
Okay.
They're overmothered, they're underfathered. And so there's this thing when a real man comes into their life, it's hard for them to receive that, because
Mm-hmm.
all they can hear, they have an ear towards to a mother's voice, to a nurturing voice. And a father or a man is going to come stern. He's going to be firm. Not saying that mothers can't. My mom is a phenomenal woman, and she raised a phenomenal son. But there's just some things that uh, a woman can't teach their son. One thing I want our mothers to remember, that he's your son, he's not your man. And
Oh, yes.
oftentimes, when the fathers are removed from the home, the sons have kind of been promoted into this, you're the man of the house, and they take on the duties that was once taken on by the father or whomever was the man of the house. And so then mom begins to do all of those things that she would typically do for her man, for her son, and then the son expects that,
Mm.
and he becomes entitled. And then he only searches for a woman that can do what his mom was doing for him, because he's had all of this training and over mothering, washing
Mm.
clothes, cleaning up his messes and fixing everything for him. And for our men, and I've been in that place. I'm only talking about me. I'm talking about where I've been. I had a false sense of what a man was. I thought it was having a whole bunch of women. I thought it was living with a woman, and it wasn't until she asked for her car keys back and put me out that I saw that I wasn't a man.
Mm, mm. Oh my goodness, Jamal, you said a mouthful. I mean, you gave us the fact that women are treating their sons like husbands. I mean, that right there. And so when you are treating him like he's the man of the house, of course he's going to get confused. What you know what? All I can say is, folks, rewind that part and and then watch it again. Go ahead and do that. Go ahead and do that. Um, all right, George. George, you are on deck. Tell us what you have.
Wow, this is interesting, Coach. And just like what Jamal has said, one of the most important things that I see very important is something that we call like job shadowing. In other
Mm-hmm.
words, mothers or ladies should learn to connect young people or even men to men. I would call this kind of peer coaching, where they learn from others, they learn from their uncles. And so trying to create an atmosphere where these people are able to compare notes with the other people that are successful. Successful here could be relative. But then at the same time, I like the element of vulnerability where we speak the truth. In other words, we only don't go out looking for the good things that these people have done or these people are doing, but also trying to let them see how they can weigh into society by adding value. And so looking at that, one would be able to look at the best model that they can become, not necessarily in an environment of blame game. Because I see sometimes the struggle that we have, what we've been sharing here, is sometimes this kind of an attitude. We grew up in Africa being told that, you are a man. And so your mother is just like a woman. And a woman here simply means that somebody who probably does not matter to you. So a young man grows up in an environment like what Jamala said. It's interesting how it cuts across, having that attitude of feeling that they're in charge. And that being in charge sometimes is actually not necessarily being in charge in terms of civility, but sometimes just being rude. And so the element here is about teaching people what are some of the values that society look for. Is, I said, complementing one another, but also learning also to know that a man needs to go out there, fend for themselves. And when things don't work out, teaching them to learn that aspect of vulnerability. That's not weakness, that I have not made it. And so there is always another day to fight. And that way, people grow appreciating the fact that there is room for accommodation, there is room for vulnerability, there is room for development. And then I would also lastly say the aspect of teaching people to grow within an element of goal setting and accomplishing them gradually. So that way, we see people fitting within the societal domain where they learn also to be very focused on certain ideals, so that you don't have a 60-year-old, 50-year-old still being a boy, but then being mentally and psychologically and spiritually taught to lead, but to lead in an environment where there is great social support.
Wow. I love that. I love that. You know what I have been able to ascertain from both you and Jamal is simply this: make sure responsibility is balanced with authority, and the authority does not get ahead of the responsibility. You got to pace those out. So, look, I'm going to count that as one. That is something that has to be done. I'm going to go ahead and pick up with Chip. Go ahead and let us know what you got, sir.
All right, pretty simple for me. Just like you said, you have to have a great balance of love and accountability, right?
Mhm.
And what I mean by that is have clear expectations, right?
Okay.
Have clear consequences,
Okay.
right? But then the big part is make sure you follow through,
Okay.
right? And so when you ask the question, I wanted to dive in. I had to be respectful and wait, because you facilitate an interview. But man, I wanted to dive in. I was excited because I feel that I'm the evidence and the research of that question.
Okay.
I was raised by a single parent mother, and my mother was amazing. Like, I don't know, I'm still a work in progress, but I think that my mom was a superhero, right?
Okay.
And those were the things that she did. She had a healthy dose of love and accountability. She had clear, expectation. Boy, don't do this. Make sure you don't do this. And I put the boy in front of it because that's what she did that too.
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
was serious when she said boy, and when she say your whole name, right? You know,
Mhm.
or boy, if you do this, this is what I'm gonna do. you
All
know,
right.
and then if I did that, well, she did what she said she was gonna do. And so that showed me, okay, be real about what you're doing. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Be open and honest about it. Be genuine. Um, have pure intentions about what you do. And then I think the next phase is just, you need to get them around good people. It
Okay.
takes a village. I don't care who you are. If you have two great parents, you still need to be around more great people, right? So it takes a
Absolutely.
village. And then, learn from generational mistakes. Know
Mm.
that, if there's some tough things that happen, like it's okay that those tough things have happened because now the next generation can learn from that. And so I think that those would be the things that I would say that it would take to raise a man from a lady.
All right. I'm going to go with that. That shows up in my heart as simply this: swift accountability.
Come
If
on,
you Yeah, if I said don't do this and I'm going to do that, boom, it's happening and it's happening
boy,
real fast.
boy.
Yeah, boy.
Hey, hey,
There we go. DP, what do you have for us on this one?
Uh, raising young people is the same in coaching as it is at home. The
Mhm.
two things that have to happen, that have to be constant. One is the ability to tell the truth and accept the truth.
Mm.
Like, again, I wish more parents, I wish more partners in life would start and end their day with this question: do I have your permission to tell you the truth?
Mhm.
Because as a parent, you need for your child to trust you enough to tell
Mhm.
you the truth in hour one rather than hour 23 when it's on fire. Like,
Okay.
we need in order to be able to handle the truth, to identify the truth, to have to give value to the truth. See, because it's all of the other thing. And the other part of that is, I was taught long ago that at our very base human element, we react to one of two things:
Mhm.
love or fear.
There you go.
Love or fear. And if you teach your young people to identify what they're operating from, is that a love thing or is that a fear thing? People think the opposite of love is hate. No, it's fear.
For
Fear is
sure.
what moves everything else. And young people who fear grow into old people who fear.
Mhm.
Do you become afraid? Am I not good enough? You become afraid. Am I not smart enough? Do I not have enough money? Are they going to think less of me if I fail at this or succeed at this?
Mm.
Move that from that as a negative. Make them comfortable in being able to identify. Hey, you hear the person say, "But I love you." That's fear. That's not love.
Mm-hmm.
But I love you is the entitlement for all the nonsense that goes before it. So tell I tell my players this, I tell my parents this. Get your young person familiar with love, what it feels like, what it sounds like, who it drives them to, so
Mm-hmm.
that when they leave the house or leave your space, when the other thing shows up, they know. They
Wow.
know that this is not love. They know that this, wait a minute, this don't feel like love. This don't sound like love. This don't feel like me. See, knowing love makes it easy for you to continue to love. Living in fear will guarantee that you will continue to live in fear.
Mm. I love that. And what I really heard, I think that we could package that in, what might that look like is let your young person know, let your young man know that they have the ability to rest in honesty and still be accepted.
Mm-hmm.
You will be accepted
Mm-hmm.
even if you're honest
Yep.
with your worst situations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is Anthony frozen? I think he is frozen. So that's okay. We will move on to the very next question, and maybe we will get him back a little bit later on. So one of the other questions that we have to explore, because we live in a very sexualized um, nation, and women are taught to maintain their purity. As a matter of fact, when you are a young girl, and if you're not maintaining your purity, you're a whole bunch of things, okay? And one of them is not a woman, okay? And it's not a lady. It's a whole bunch of names for you when you're not maintaining your purity as a woman. That said, what I've truly grown to understand, particularly for our young men, in this, the two are so connected together. Identity and sexual male prowess. Because if you believe that your identity is in your pants, then you will be broken and you will function in that way. Okay. And you will learn to navigate the world in that way. So I want to talk about the connection between a boy's purity and then actual manhood, being able to control that function. Who wants to step up first with that one? It's hot.
I understand.
Come on, man. Come on. Give it to me.
All
What are
right.
you telling your guys? What are y'all telling your young
Well,
men?
well, this is coach. This is simple for me. We tell people, are you doing a thing? One, first of all, there is a difference in community. That in Black communities, especially in America, we've been sexualized at a very young age, and it carries with us. Like we
Mm-hmm.
learn that that's how we're looked at, and that's our prowess, and that's the thing we should be more proud of than anything else,
Mm-hmm.
because other people have told us so. Other people who have found us more attractive for that sexuality, or given us more financial value because of that sexuality. And then at some point you recognize that, you know what, giving away the thing that only you can give reduces the value of it. They're pieces
Mm.
of us. When you do that, there's a piece of you that travels around the world. There's no unity in that. There's no connection in that. You tell young people, be careful about what you tell people about you, because they'll start to believe you.
Mm-hmm.
And if it doesn't mean anything to you, they will believe you, and it won't mean anything to them.
Ooh.
Wow. Coach, I want to come next.
Yes, George.
I just reflecting on this and realize that when we realize that community and camaraderie, or community and friendship, the first thing is the friendliness with the world is actually being an enmity with God. And so I picked out this, and I think this could be relevant in Psalms 119, around verses 7 through 9, thereabout. How can a young man cleanse his way? Only by taking heed according to your word. And your word have I hidden in my heart, that I may not sin against you. And this brings me to the fact that when we see ourselves as working together towards honor and integrity, we would actually work towards seeing ourselves beyond a lens, because these are some of the lenses that the society, the cravings of human life, where a man thinks that I am great because I have I have so many girls that I've taken to bed, and a girl feels that I cannot lose this man. And one of the interesting things that you're going through right now, men celebrating, or young men, or even men, I have so many girlfriends and I've taken them to bed. And so I am a champion, or I'm a hero. And I think this is missing out. Actually, this reveals an underlying, low self-esteem, where people are trying to create an element of value validation, but they're doing it in the wrong way. So what I found out is that when we are dealing with this particular domain, we need to actually teach people to get back to what is called human dignity, that has got nothing to do with what people think about you. And I think these things begin earlier also by ability to identify that the underlying issues or what people do not understand about themselves. And so they try to be what everyone else is doing. For example, that element of, if everyone else is doing it and I'm not doing it, then it means I am out of the game. But what if you are against the majority? Is actually the epitome of human dignity. And that the epitome of human dignity is being unique. And I believe that what we are teaching society is uniqueness. Uniqueness in the sense that the kind of a woman you want to marry, I ask men and even young men, what kind of a woman would you want to marry? And you said you want to marry a woman that is pure, that is chaste. But don't we think that women are also looking for similar men that are pure, that are chaste? And so it is not so much about laboratory test to prove who is still a virgin or who is not, even though that is important. I guess it's so much about the issue of the heart and covenant relationship with God that will create another sense of dignity, humility, submission, and respect to God, respect for God, and respect to myself, and respect to society. Thank you, Coach.
That is a beautiful, beautiful sentiment. Chip, he is
Can,
on fire. What you got
can
to
I go
say?
next?
Yes, go ahead.
It's simple for me. I'm just gonna say, yeah, what Coach George said. Right on. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, Coach George. Yeah.
All right.
No, it's
That
simple.
right there.
No. I wholeheartedly agree with everything that he said. It's about the heart. We have to know that God made us all special, and we have to know that you are enough. You don't need all of that. He made you special in his like, and there's a time and a place for all of that. You're gonna be a man, but be a boy when you're supposed to be a boy, and then you'll grow into that. And if just like he said, I love how he said, just the purity, the taking your time and growing into that. I love that how he broke that down, because it's so true. If you do that at a fast manner, then you get fast results from that, and that's not what you want. But if you take your time and do it the right way, in the proper manner, then that's the kind of results that you'll get.
Okay. All right. I love it. I love it. So we have changed into a state of mind these days where women are earning their own money. They are building careers. They can call somebody to fix something. So the old fashioned masculinity and the idea of needing a man is so far gone. And so masculinity is different. You know, women are asking men to be quality people. That's what really women are asking men to do. So what has to be done is that men cannot readily capitalize on their masculinity. My question is to you: do you think that men generally capitalize on being men in society? DP.
See, here's this is interesting to me, and I always find it. I had there were four older sisters in my house.
Mm-hmm.
So masculinity to me has a different meaning, and it does to each person.
Mm-hmm.
But masculinity for me is love. For me to handle my business, whatever that
Okay.
business is, whatever that business is. I'm masculine, but I'll clean the dishes and do the laundry and clean the house.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because to me, my masculinity allows me to do that. I'm man enough to say, "Hey, you sit this one out. I got you."
Mm-hmm.
Like that's way more masculine to me than sitting on the couch watching somebody you care about do a thing that you could have done yourself.
Well, DP, you cheat because you're so service minded that
But that's here's the thing. Here's the thing. I can be an alpha. I can be an alpha male. I can
Mm-hmm.
lead the troop. I can build the community. I can fill the house. But in the end, the king still has to be accountable to the queen for her needs. It
Mm-hmm.
can't be, hey, watch me flex, watch me parade. No, at some point, there has to be a thing that identifies to her that I have her back and I'm working in her interest as
Mm-hmm.
well. See,
Mm-hmm.
I'm man enough to say, no, no, you have a seat. I got you. That's masculinity to me.
Do you guys know that regarding all the divorces that are out there, women are the people who are pursuing the divorce?
Because you ain't taken care of. Look, partnerships, part of being in a relationship requires accountability. It's all the words that we've used in this being godlike, being accountable, being responsible, being loving, all of those things. And then none of those things does it say that I need to beat my chest and stomp my feet and raise my voice.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
not what it says. That's not what it's for. See, I don't need to work from the lie. The truth is, as your partner, what I should do is meet you at the door. See, whenever you get there. If I get there first, guess what? Things that need to be done in this household, since it's our household, I need to do. Like that's masculinity, is that controlling the situation, being aware of the situation, and then handling your business. That's masculinity. I don't know the other part, but for me, I'm firmly okay with, you know what? If there's a thing that needs to be done in our home and I can do it, my masculinity says I should do it.
You know what? That is beautiful. I wish that was more commonplace, DP. I really do. Um, I wish your service mind. That's why I said you cheated because you are very you're you're a natural servant leader. That's just the way you operate. And I just happen to know that um, in many households, that relationships, friendships, and families are struggling because there is the idea of I earned a paycheck, therefore that was, I am a man. Verse, that's just out there. That really is. When these days, I mean, the woman is earning a paycheck, cleaning the house, picking up the kids, all of that as well. And then all of a sudden she finds herself, you know what? I could have a lot less dirty laundry if you wasn't here.
And a cheaper
Well,
grocery.
And cheaper grocery bill. And I could get the
Eh,
big piece of chicken.
Coach,
Look,
I'm a burning one here.
yeah. See,
Go
folks will
ahead.
get
What?
mad at me over that.
So I don't promote families breaking up. I'm just really noting what is unraveling just because there is a disconnect between what is necessary for us to thrive as a society. You know, The gone are the days where we are one income families. Gone are the days where women can't get credit without a man. All of that's over. You know, if I can call tackle just it to replace you, that's not a good thing.
Don't hurt him. Don't hurt him, coach. They ain't ready for that.
I, I'm just saying, you know, give a girl something to miss now. I'm just
No, there are
you.
dudes that are gonna be mad at me over that, and I feel how you feel about it. My thing is just it's simple. All of these men on this panel are kings, and they have a full.
Hmm.
I've seen them in some way, shape, or form. I can imagine how they interact with the people in their lives. Like they are love based, love first folks, and you can't tell me that you are a servant of God and not be willing to serve.
Excellent. Excellent. So, one of the last things I'm going to ask you guys, because it's so very important, is your best de escalation tactic and technique. Um, the world is full of fury these days. I mean, a lot of hostility from wearing a mask to you stepped on my shoe. I mean, people are dying for no particular reason, and I'm not going to even talk about road rage. My goodness. So we have to have some ways, some skills in de-escalating situations. Give me your best technique if you have one, or two. My
I have
goodness, who
one.
wants to step up?
I have one.
Yeah, what is it?
uh, all right, I go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. What's your technique?
Three areas that I found interesting. Knowing when to fight, and
Mm-hmm.
knowing when to freeze, and also knowing also sometimes just when to also thinking about where do I apply this in terms of I need to run sometimes, which is flight. I need to freeze sometimes, just sit. But sometimes I also just need to know that in all this that I'm doing, I do them based on circumstances and situations. So it's more of a situational analysis. That is what I'm
Mm.
discussing. And so when you come up with a very methodical, analytical, situational analysis, you definitely would know how to react to different situations, because sometimes what makes us overreact is the inability to, assess who we are, who people are, and even where we are. And in fact, sometimes even the times we are living in. Because if I keep on thinking of a life of a people that lived some times ago, and not being careful enough to appreciate the contemporary society, I will technically miss out. So technically assessing the society using appropriate situational analysis.
Oh my goodness. Did you just give us fight, flight, or freeze directly from our amygdala? Oh, that's wonderful.
Not the amygdala.
Yeah, you know what? That is what we are attempting to use when we are in these situations, but apparently it is not working because somewhere along the line, everybody got stuck on fight. You know, it's a shoot first and ask questions later, or it's fight first and ask questions later. And I really do wish that we would be different. George, I love your answer. We have to be more strategic. I wish we were certainly more civil towards one another. There's an answer that comes to mind, but I'm going to see if I want to see what else you guys have to say.
Well, for me, Coach, I have to be real careful when it comes to de-escalation. I have
Mm-hmm.
to pull out coping skills because of I'll find myself in an addictive behavior situation which I've already overcome.
Okay.
So I used to de-escalate and thought that cocaine was the answer or
Mm.
alcohol was the answer, but
Mm-hmm.
now I have to turn that around, and I come up with things like for me recognizing having a spirit of discernment that I'm off track. I go
Mm-hmm.
fly. I fly my drone. I'm a drone pilot.
Okay.
I go sit at the lake and take some aerial photos. I may take a journal and go de-escalate by doing some journaling.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to, for me and where I come from, and the things that I don't ever want to go back to again. There are things. Yes, somebody just said knowing when to hold, and knowing when to fold, and
There
knowing
you
when to
go.
run. I know when to hold, and I know when to fold. And my de-escalation or simple thing, I might take off and say I'm going for a day trip in the mountains.
Nice.
That de-escalates me. I have all these other tools that I use. I'll pick up the phone. I'll call Chip Baker. I get and then when that happens, when I call Chip, we both he needed me to call him anyway,
Yes.
Okay.
and that's normally how that works out. It's like, dude, I was going through something too, man, and thank you, but this is what. So we both, I pull. I don't fake the funk anymore. Okay, I don't have a mask on. I'm gonna tell you what's going on with me, so I can get it off of me. And
Okay.
as a true friend, that's what you told me to do. My friends
Mm-hmm.
in my circle, I know I could call DP. I know I could call Jamal. I know I can because they're part of my family now, and I
Okay.
don't have to hide behind a mask. Because de-escalate for me is not hiding behind a mask and being true. Go to the mountains if you need to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 2 hours from the beach. I'll get in my car and I'll go. I'll take a day trip and close the calendar book. That's what
Okay.
I think about when I think about the de-escalation.
So what you know what I really heard from you? I heard from you stop depending on substances to
Yes.
manage your emotions for
Yes.
you and actively deal with your own emotions.
Yes.
Find a real outlet for them.
Yes. Thank you,
So I'm
Coach. Yes.
definitely hearing that. I'm
Yes.
definitely hearing that.
Yes.
What else do we have?
Chip, do I need to hit him with it? Do I
Come
need to
on,
hit
give
him
it
with
to
it?
You
him,
need
baby.
come
Let's
on, DP.
go.
You
Need to hit
already
him?
know.
Come on, let's
See,
go.
there's a couple things that happened, Coach,
Yeah.
because of the way I live my life. See, I was a brawler. See, that's okay, but see, I also knew that I didn't fight to win. I fight to finish, and so I can't fight
Wait,
Come
what
on
does
now.
that mean?
Come
So,
on
but it
now.
means I can't fight him. It means I can't fight anymore. See,
Okay.
that can't be in me. And
Okay.
as a large black man with a booming voice, some
Hmm.
people will take me certain kind of way, and they will assume who I am. But then what
Okay.
I do is I get up real close and I take off my glasses and get close and say, "Listen, see this smile?
Mm.
That's the great de-escalator. It never loses.
It's
It
undefeated.
never loses. My smile is undefeated, and so is yours. Listen, there are places you can be in. I'll ask the question following that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do I have your permission to tell you the truth?
Okay.
We not trying to fight. We trying to agree. That's every disagreement. That's every conflict. That's every bit of friction that ever exists. And anytime I'm face to face with somebody and it starts to elevate, I
Mm-hmm.
smile and let them know that that's where I'm working from. And then I give them permission to tell me whatever truth you want to tell me, as
Mm-hmm.
long as I'm allowed to tell you mine. And we'll meet. We'll meet in a better place. Usually without anger, without physicality, without venom. If I don't want venom to be the result, I can't use venom to solve it. That's just how simple that is. Hit him with the $1 million smile and be
Mm-hmm.
about your business.
Okay. So Jamal, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go to you. I'm gonna go to you because see, I know. Oh man,
Oh man, come on. No. Oh, I'm sorry.
I know. You know what? I we gotta have Jamal on this. When he comes back, I'm still gonna ask him that follow up question because Jamal comes from a place of hand to hand combat.
Mm,
You know, Jamal comes from a place on you stepped on my white tennis shoes. Now I'm gonna get you.
mm.
You know,
See, that's where I
he is
grew up.
Mr. Me Too for a reason.
That's
You
where I
know.
grew up. But see, last week, this week actually, I just turned 59 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I can't live that life anymore.
Well, see, I know you can't, but what I'm saying is we have to have something to tell our young people, because it's not just the guys, it's the girls too. I mean,
Throwing hands ain't the
everybody
way.
is uh
Throwing
I
hands
mean,
ain't the way.
everybody. I watched the video and the lady was fighting at McDonald's. It was
There wasn't a
brawling.
smile to be found. Not a smile, and there was no truth to be found. And
It was
nobody left there better off. Not one.
it was hard. You know what, Jamal? I'm so glad you're back, because I am not looking for a perfect answer. I'm looking for what's going to work when I am out on the street and somebody, um, has bumped you, let the cart run into your car when you're on the Walmart parking lot, and all of a sudden somebody is spitting and yelling in your face, and and they got a gun. They're in Arizona. It's it's open carry. You know, how do we de-escalate? And I just know that you have real life experience. How do we calm
Well,
that situation down?
well, for me, because of those lived experiences, I have a saying that my why is greater than my why not.
Mm-hmm.
I always have to go back to my why. I
Okay.
have a family to get home to. I have people
Mm-hmm.
that love me. I got brothers that are on here who as Anthony has said, we family now. Uh, I could respond angrily and I could poke my chest out and I could express manhood in that way. But
Mm-hmm.
what what is that going? What's going to be on the other side of that? He
Mm-hmm.
got a gun. I don't got a gun. I'm going. What they gonna put on my? What they gonna put on my tombstone?
Right.
He died, but he wasn't no punk. He died, but he wasn't no punk. I don't want that.
Right. That's not
I
good
don't care
enough.
nothing about none of that. I used to, but I used to care about that, and I allowed that feeling of feeling slighted or feeling like I was a punk or just it's when you're not confident in your true manhood. I know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I know
Mm-hmm.
who I am, and so I don't have to be concerned with you know what, bro. You got this one. It's okay. I'm cool because I know my
Mm.
why. I got to get home. I got to get home to my why. At the end of the day, that's my job to get home to my. If I left home all right, I need to come home all right. I
Okay
can
now.
control that. Yeah, I can control that. But you have to, and you have to do some real self reflection and some deep diving to truly find out what your why is. You have to find out what your why is, and your why can't be just one thing. It has to be a multitude of things. It's my brothers on here that I care about, that I know and love, that I want to talk to tomorrow. I expect to get that text from Chip, and he hitting all of us. So I got a job I got to do. I gotta make sure that I'm here so I can receive that text. I got a
Mm.
family that love, that need me, that I support, that encourage me. I gotta be here for them, and so I can't get tied up into all of this other stuff. Like that stuff, it's a false sense of pride.
Mm-hmm.
It's a false sense
Mm-hmm.
of pride. That's all it is. And you know what? At the end of the day, and Friday, Pops said, man, y'all punks, man. You pick up a gun, you do all this. He said, man, put the gun down, put these up.
Mm-hmm.
He said, man, hey, man, if I get knocked out, man, he says you live to see another day. That's what it's all about. DP said he asked for one more day, every day, one
One
more
more
day.
day.
One more day. That's
Mm-hmm.
it. One more day. One more day to create impact, to influence, to love, to do all of the things that we talked about. But you got to have a why. Because and if your why ain't big enough, if your why ain't strong enough, you're gonna fall into that foolishness. And so I got my why. I know what my why is, and my why will make me smile, like DP said.
That's excellent.
It'll make me
That is so
smile.
excellent.
Yeah.
You know, I do these shows and I will continue to do these shows because um, I love hearing the stories of what really matters. Everybody is searching for this one thing, and it is what makes them significant. Everybody wants to know what makes them significant. And what I have truly found, it is this one thing, and it is the thing that makes you unique. It is how God shows up in your journey. God is here for everybody. God created us all. But what makes us significant and unique is how God shows up in our journey, and quite frankly, how we show up for one another. And I so appreciate you guys for showing up tonight, for giving it your all. You guys are amazing. Just thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Family, we are going to get on out of here. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming. We'll see you back again soon. Bye bye for now.
Go get it.